Hello, this is Liberty Mark 222. Okay, I've been talking about the different components of the church and the structure of what the church is. I started with the rock, which is Christ, and then I talked about the foundation, which is built on the rock, the bedrock, which is the apostles and the doctrines of the church. And that's built by, that's written down in the Bible. That's the New Testament and the Old Testament. And next I talked about the walls. Now the walls are the three components: the main wall, the windows, and the doors. I talked about the walls itself being tied into the foundation, and it's secure there, and it represents the family of God, and also individual families of believers, the father, the mother, and the children. And that's reflected in the church, which is, we have fathers and mothers, and we're brothers and sisters in Christ now. So we're not just in the church, we're not just people there, we're relatives. We have a new kinship, we are the children of God now. We're not just any people. We're new creation, and we are born again. We're new people. It's a new kingdom. So the walls and also the windows represent our relationship to the world. Jesus said we're the light of the world, that we are a city set on a hill, and that if we're a light, we should be set on a table, a lampstand, not under a bushel. So our light shines out to the world. Also, the world can look in and see us and examine our lives, and to see if we're who we say we're supposed to be. We're not hypocrites. We're loving each other. We are showing a good example to the world. And also, the light, it also comes from God also. The light of the sun, it illuminates the house. It also, the windows can be opened, and it allows fresh air in, or they can be shut to keep out the cold or extreme heat. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of the walls and the windows. Now I want to talk about the door. The door is a very, very important component of the house. It protects the house. When you are out of the house, you lock the door. Actually, you lock the door when you're asleep too, so that a robber couldn't get in, sneak in the house and break in and steal your stuff, or maybe hurt you even. So when we look at the door, if you have valuable things in your house, you want to have a good door. You have the strongest doors are made out of steel, and the frame is made out of steel. You could have deadbolts. You could have and whoever is of that family that is in that house has a key to that door. So you could leave the house, lock the door, and come back later and get in the house. Or let's say you were a member of the family, you had a key, and you were away. Let's say you were living somewhere else. You could get into that house if the family were outside. Let's say your parents had gone on a trip or something, and you went into that house and you had a key. Okay, so a door is very important. It represents security. Now, I look at it talks about in the Old Testament, I think it's Amos, he talks about whether he'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of the Lord than to live in the palaces of the wicked, or something like that. So a doorkeeper is a doorkeeper It's a very, very important function. We look at the church, and we look at Paul, and he's constantly fighting against wrong doctrines. Jesus talks about how to be aware of wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay, there's going to be many people that try and come in the church and damage it and cause disruption many different ways. Dissensions, heresies, backbiting. I mean, I've seen every kind of thing you can imagine happen in the church. Church splits, you name it. But a wise pastor, an older pastor, an experienced elder, he can stop a lot of that kind of stuff. They recognize that kind of stuff right away, and it can be stopped. Not to say that there won't be problems. There's always going to be problems, because there's people that come in as wolves in sheep's clothing. They're going to come in, okay? You can't stop it, really. So, okay, what I think is a very critical issue in the church in Turkey, okay? And I'm not even going to talk about the church in America per se. I think is the whole idea of the door, of authority, of the gatekeeper. Who is the gatekeeper? Now, if you look in Paul, he in 1st and 2nd Timothy, he talks about the different elders and deacons that he appointed to each of the churches, okay? And even Jesus, he selected disciples, right? And who were called apostles after that. He didn't just pick anybody. He picked 12 men. We're looking at Jesus, right? And he lived with them for about 3.5 years. They were with him every day, as far as I can tell. I don't think they went back to their families even. I think they were basically with him for about 3.5 years. And he taught them. He showed them how to pray. He was with them every day. Now, when we make disciples, we have to do the same thing. We have to be with people basically 24 hours a day. And I think it's in Psalm, I think it's 133, it talks about, behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to live together. It's a wonderful thing to live together with believers. It's an exciting thing. It's when believers have a purpose to build a church, to give their life to the Lord 100%, that's a wonderful thing. It's just really, it's a great thing. And I've experienced that, and I really enjoy living with other believers. And but I think that's part of the process of making church leadership, is to live with brethren, to and not only to be with them, but we need to teach probably in a systematic way the Bible, the whole Bible, to teach the different doctrines of the church, and to establish a blueprint, I guess, a blueprint for the church as far as the different sacraments. Now, when we were in Turkey, we didn't have a very good blueprint for the sacraments, and it caused a lot of problems. It caused a lot of dissension, a lot of fighting, especially about baptism, about communion, and I'm sure we didn't face this, but as far as like marriage, as far as burial, people getting buried. As far as what do you call it? When you come of age, when you become a member of the church, in the Jewish tradition, if you're 12 years old, you became an adult and you became responsible. And so these are different issues that have to be addressed and settled in the church for each individual church. I don't look at I don't think outside authorities that don't know what's going on in a church should have any say in it, like in these denominations. I think it was a very destructive thing to have somebody that doesn't know anything about a culture, anything about that church, can't speak the language. Why should they have anything to say about that church? I think it's very, very destructive. I think the church has to take care of its own. It has to be self-sustained. The people that are part of the church have to give to the church, have to support the church. It's like a family, okay? If you have a family, you have to support it. You have to work and you have to support it. If you don't support your own family, why did you get married? Why did you have children if you can't even support it? You're not even a father. So if the church has to be supported by itself. It has to work. It has to be self-sustained, self-contained in that manner. So I guess the basic gist of this is that we don't just put anybody in authority in the church. The church is about relationships, and somebody that's proved themselves as skillful in the scriptures, they're faithful, they're diligent, they're seeking after the Lord. It's in Timothy, he talks about somebody that's above reproach, in a sense. We have to be that way. We can't have anything that would cause us to be stumbled by Satan, And so, anyway, I think that's about all I need to say at this point as far as the door of the Lord. So, I hope that's helpful. We're going to expand on this later. This is Liberty Mark 222. Thanks.